Friday. Big races tomorrow, bro. But it's breakfast with Bob.
And Poncho Man! Welcome everybody to Day 5, Breakfast with Bob. We are brought to you by HOKA, Polar, UCAN, Velofix, Normatec, Active, Canyon Bicycles, Form Goggles, and Human. Our championship edition on Sunday will be at Four Seasons Resort, Hualalai. Our next guest, three-time Ironman World Champion. Give it up for Craig Alexander.
Thanks, Bob.
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing?
Good. And I'm so glad that you saved it all week to make your announcement here that you're racing tomorrow. That is so cool.
Is it April Fool's Day? I am not racing tomorrow.
How fun is it not to be racing tomorrow? I bet the first time you didn't was hard. Or was it?
No, the first couple of times. I would be lying if I said I was standing on the pier when the cannon fired and I felt I was in the wrong place. I should have been in the water.
Yeah.
But I think, it's 5 years now, and I think it just takes a while, and at some point, your last race is your last race. Yeah.
Right.
So, I'm very happy to be here and wearing a few different hats, and I get to chat with you the day before the race, stress-free, and it's all good. So
we were just chatting about, you got Alistair Brownlee coming over here. I remember when you came here for the first time and got second right out of the box. And you got Jan Frodeno, who hasn't really been able to, he couldn't race last year before he injured. And I was talking to Alistair's agent last night. He goes, hey, it's going to be Iron War. It's going to be Alistair and Jan side by side all day long.
Yeah, we say it every year. On paper, it's a great field, maybe the best field ever, and it's exciting. But this year, I am very excited to watch those two boys. They're two of the best perhaps we've ever seen. Yeah. And they have a long history of racing each other.
Yeah.
Both Olympic champions. I guess in terms of racing over this distance, Jan may have the edge because he's got 6 or 7 years experience. But Alistair's just a thoroughbred and he's a racer at heart. So it's going to be awesome. And throw in a few other boys into the mix. It should be some fireworks out there tomorrow.
Yeah, and Patrick Lange sort of reminds me of Dave Scott. It's like what happens during the season means nothing. All that matters is October.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I guess athletes, they have different personalities, and Alistair and Jan are the kind of athletes who want to win everything. Every race is like a world title, and Patrick's a little different. He can forget what happened a month ago or 2 months ago. For him, it's all about coming here in the right sort of shape, the way Dave used to, and I think it takes a certain amount of confidence to do that. If you've had maybe some subpar performances, still to turn up here on this day in October in this company and perform the way he has the last couple of years. So you cannot write him off. And there's a few other guys as well.
Sebastian Kienle, who just ran a 109.5 at the 70.3 Worlds, showing that he's running better than ever. The field, I wouldn't be surprised. There's probably 8-10 guys I wouldn't be surprised if they were top 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys who could push onto the podium. Certainly, I think at least 10 guys who could squeeze into the top 5, but I was never great at maths, but I don't think 10 goes into 5.
No,
so,
not very well. Yeah.
There's going to be that war of attrition out there and different decisions have to be made, and that's what's exciting about the race. We can sit around and speculate what we think's going to happen, but really we're going to find out tomorrow.
So you come here the first time and you get second. Then you win the thing the next 2 years. Got a formula, be there at the end of the bike and run through the field at 241-ish and go win the race. And then 2010, end up fourth. Group attacks early between Kauai High and Javi and back. And really a mark of a champion is when something doesn't go your way. You've had a formula. You got to scrap the formula and start over. After that year, what'd you do?
I think, at the time it hurt. When you have won something and then you don't win it, initially it hurts a little bit. Yeah. But I'm still proud of my 2010 race. I had a great performance.
You had a great run.
Yeah, I think what happens though is when you don't win, maybe you look at things a little more closely afterwards when you're doing that sort of that post-race analysis that you do. And I guess 2010 gave me the chance to do some things that I'd been wanting to do, which was race a little bit differently. I mean, as you said, I had an MO here. I tried to swim in the top 5 or 10 guys and be up the front and bike close to the guys who I thought were the contenders. And of course, you've always got the Uber bikers. And then run the best marathon that I could. And that's the way I saw Mark win 6. It's the way I saw Dave win 6. And I felt for me that was possibly the best strategy. But I think as an athlete, you like to show your versatility a little bit too. So whilst 2010 at the time hurt, it gave me an opportunity to reevaluate equipment, maybe training, my mentality. I came back in 2011 with a bit more of an aggressive mentality. I wasn't going to wait for other guys to make the move. I wanted to be one of the guys making the moves, and I did that on the bike at the airport. So very early on in the bike ride in 2011, and I think that's why it was such a satisfying race, because you do it a little differently. And you know, most athletes are able to win a race one way. Not many can win it different ways. And
absolutely,
I guess that's why you look at Jan and Alistair and Danny. They're so great. Chrissy the same, because they have a few strings to their bow. There's a couple of different ways they can win, and I think as an athlete, that's what's very satisfying.
And so you not just win in 2011, and it was a month after winning 70.3 Worlds, and you come here and 38 years old, and oldest champion at that time, and go 8:03, break the course record. And so you've had these 2 world-class performances in a row. And I think that was the year they decided champions have to go and validate. You have to go do another Ironman. And to go to the 2012 Ironman World Championship, you got to go do another Ironman. And Melbourne is going to be an inaugural race in your home country. You're going to go there in March and do that race. And you sort of had a race for the ages with Cam Brown at that race in March, right? Not that long after world-class performance, 70.3 Worlds, world-class performance here. And then 6 months later, another world-class performance where I think you ran, 237 off the bike?
Yeah, it was around there. It was under 240. It was a good run, yeah. Cam pushed me, the bugger.
He ran 240. It's not like you could have,
Yeah.
So you had a Dave and Mark type of race
Yep.
where the two of you. So coming off of that, 3 world-class performances in 6 months, I mean, you're enough of a guy who understands physiology to know that you might have buried yourself a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I was 39 at that Melbourne race, and you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing. But at the time, I felt I would be able to manage the races, and then we talked about it before. You know, Patrick's mentality of only caring about October. For me, I was more, I guess, like Jan. I wanted to win everything.
Everything.
But that can, I guess, be to your detriment as you get older and you don't recover the way you used to. And I mean, other things were happening. I had less time to train and recover with the family and business opportunities, but I don't regret that race in Melbourne at all. I mean, it was a special race. I mean, at that point in the sport, we had Kona, and then there were only 3 regional championships. So, you know, we also had Aneko Lanos in that race, Frederick Van Leer, Luke McKenzie. You know, it was a stacked field. Joe Gambles, Greg Bennett. It was a really good race, and you know, I'd been coming abroad to race, particularly to the US, but to the US and Europe for 15 years. It wasn't often you get to race in Australia as the reigning world champion. So that's why the race was special. Also, because it was the inaugural Melbourne race, they named the trophies after Greg and McKeely, who were 2 of my triathlon idols growing up. So I wanted to win that race as much as I wanted to win Kona. And took a sub-8 performance. I mean, it's still one of my fondest racing memories. We went through 10 kilometres, myself, Cameron, Aneko and Frederick in 34 minutes. We went through halfway in about 1:15, and you know, I didn't shake off Brownie until 30 or 32 kilometres, and I never really shook him off. He was always just dangling in the background somewhere. So very painful day. I couldn't move after the race. So in the recovery area, they had these hot tubs, and I was in there for 3 hours. I just couldn't get out. My legs were that stiff. But you know, it's interesting because I think it speaks to the challenges that the athletes now face with having to qualify and structuring your season so that you can have really strong form in championship season, which is September and October. So I think a lot of the guys are figuring out. One thing I love about Jan and Danny's season this year is they've been awesome when they've raced, but they haven't over-raced, I don't think.
Yes, I think you're right.
I think they're looking really good for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, being able to... I think the hard part is when you're at the level that you're at, you don't want to go to a race, the whole quote-unquote validation because you've won, and jog the marathon.
No.
If you're going to the starting line, you're racing. And that's what's really difficult because I don't know anybody... No pro wants to be in that position.
No, absolutely, and that's the difference. I mean, for people who are fans of the sport, you know, you got the WTS, the ITU races. It's awesome racing to watch. It's super competitive. It's like the Formula One racing, I guess, of triathlon, but it's only a 10K run, a 6-mile run. It's a 2-hour race. In our sport, you've got to run a marathon, and I think that's the doing the build-up and the prep for the marathon, and then running the marathon and the recovery afterwards. It makes it hard to run, you know, a world-class race more than once or twice a year, just because of the distance of the event and how long it takes to recover from a fast marathon.
The other thing that I love is the fact that you're still racing. You know, it's not like you retired from Ironman distance,
Yeah.
but you're doing a ton of 70.3s and other racing, and not just doing them, but winning and doing well.
Yeah, I've had a few lucky races this year. I've won 3 early in the year.
Look at that.
What can I say? I love the sport, and as you know, when it's in your blood, it's not even about the winning. It's just training hard and pushing yourself.
Right.
I love the challenge of trying to get in great shape and racing the kids, as I call them. I mean, a race I did, I think it was last year at the press conference, one of the guy next to me, Mauricio Mendez, who's a Xterra world champ.
He was 21 when he won an Xterra world title.
Well, he wasn't even born when I started racing as a professional, and he said that at the press conference. So, you know, I think it's kind of cool that I'm still knocking around racing, and I'm certainly not embarrassing myself just yet. And while I still love it, I think for me, I have a passion to go quick and to train hard and push myself, and it's always a challenge. So, yeah, I'll keep going for a little while longer yet.
And now when you go to the track, do you and Lucy, your daughter, go head-to-head on the track? And can you outrun her or no?
She's the reason. Well, I can over some. If it gets it longer than 3K, then I'm okay. And usually I have the speed towards the end of a track set, but it takes me a good while to get warmed up these days. So she's certainly got me covered early, and when the reps are short. And she'll let you know too. She lets me know.
Oh, yeah. She's got that attitude.
Yeah,
huh?
she's the best athlete in the family. She'll tell you. Just ask her. So,
I love that.
She's a great little runner, and she has a passion for it. And she's dabbled in a few triathlons as well. And Neri and I certainly don't push her. She's very self-driven and self-motivated, and we just drive her around to training and to the races. But all the kids are different. You know, our son Austin, he's more into soccer. He's a little drummer.
Yeah.
He loves to play the drums. He's into taekwondo. He's going for his black belt later this year. So, and our other daughter, she's athletic as well. She's into gymnastics. So I guess it's in their genes. They're all active. They're good. We're lucky. They're good kids.
So, from your Ironman wins, is the 2011 one the most satisfying?
It's like trying to choose between your kids.
Okay.
On different days, you like one over the other.
Right. I like how your wife is nodding. Yeah.
They're all satisfying for different reasons. I mean, I think 2008 was satisfying because, I mean, I didn't start in the sport, as you know, until I was 20 or 21, but I watched this race growing up.
Right.
And to come here and win, it kind of felt like it wasn't real, even though I dreamt about it and I felt I could do it, perhaps, but then to do it, it kind of didn't seem real. 09 was satisfying. I don't think 09 was my best performance physically, but definitely mentally, and defending the title, which hadn't been done since Tim.
That's right.
That brings different challenges. So I guess that when I think back to that year, and our son was born that year, so yeah, they're all special for different reasons, you know. And then 11, I guess, coming back as an older guy, an older athlete, 38, and people questioning whether I still had the motivation, and that was satisfying as well. So, but 07 was satisfying to come here and finish on the podium on debut, which doesn't happen too often. I think every race has its special memories, and they're all for different reasons. But yeah, it's hard to choose.
The most important thing is that way you can come to the party tonight. But thank God I'm not racing party, knowing that you are not racing tomorrow. When they dive in the water, you're going to be standing there with a cup of coffee watching those guys go at it, like the rest of us.
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's nice to come back and watch without the pressure and just enjoy this week for what it is, which is a great celebration of our sport, an iconic race, which is 40 years old and, you know, has produced so many great memories. And triathlon's evolved into so many awesome things. We're now in the Olympics. You and I were talking before we came on. It's a college scholarship sport in the US.
Yep.
I mean, I look at my daughter and the different talent ID programs and pathways there are for school kids, which didn't really exist a long time ago. So the sport's evolved into so many wonderful things. And for me, though, this race is really what kicked it all off. So it's great to just be back here with a lot of friends, people who share the same passion, and really just have a fun week.
Love it. How about a round of applause for the great Craig Alexander, Poncho Man. Take us out.
It's Aloha Friday. Big races tomorrow. And it's breakfast with Bob.
And Poncho Man. Thanks everybody for being here.